Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Thursday. Clearly in need of some coffee now. I hope you guys are joining us from a little coffee break as well. We are thrilled to cover an incredible topic today, which is really our new product Sense Assist, but more so specifically, how to optimize support resources with our new Sense call center. I am so thrilled to be here with two incredible gentlemen in the garment care industry. First and foremost, we have Brian Riseland, who is the president, owner, founder of Laundry Genius in Washington. And welcome, Brian.
Hey, thank you for inviting me to participate.
We are thrilled to have you. And I also am joined with Pablo, who's our senior director of business development here at Sense.
Hello, hello. Thanks
Pablo's
for
probably
having me.
spoken to most of you before, who those of you that are here, and if not, you are in for a treat to hear a little bit about how Sense Assist came to be and the future of AI. So I want to first and foremost tell you a little bit about our panelists here today. Brian, would you rather that I read your bio, or do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Um, I'm scared to know what the bio says, so I'll just say I'm Brian. I started Laundry Genius 3.5 years ago now. One store out in Everett, Washington. Um, yeah, I came to the industry after a high-tech layoff right before COVID, and just have been having a blast. And been with Sense has been with me since the beginning. And so I got like trick. I don't know tricked, but I feel lucky that I got to play around with this thing we're going to talk about a bit today before you guys got to.
I am obsessed with Brian personally. He was one of my first onboarding calls that I ever had here at Suns. And we're really grateful that he was basically our guinea pig and partner in building Sense Assist. Given his tech background, it's always just incredible to have the understanding and the flexibility of being able to play around with things and try things out and know what works and what doesn't work. So thank you so much, Brian, for being here today.
Yeah.
And Pablo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Well, thanks for having me. And Brian and I talk often. Always, he knows whenever I'm calling him, it's because I have a new idea that I'm going to beg him to try out and try and break for me, or on a webinar together. So, Brian, good to see you.
I don't know that you've ever had to beg.
Exactly. Well, the next one. But I'm Pablo. I'm the head of business development here at Sense, and what that means is basically I'm responsible for the 0 to 1 function. And prior to Sense, I've built companies mostly in the tech space. I've also worked in large corporate orgs, and I've worked in the SMB space for pretty much my whole life. So my favorite thing to do, and what I do here at Sense, is take an idea from a conversation, a whiteboard, a customer feedback session, and turn that into a reality. So whether that's a product like Sense Assist, or a new market we want to move into, or a new partnership we want to get live, I'm the one who has to run through the tall grass and the mud and try and make sense of things, and then hand it off to people who are far more qualified than I am to turn it into a reality. So that's what got us here today, and I'm really excited for the topic.
Me too. And Pablo makes an incredible product manager that, another piece to add to his CV. Unbeknownst to him, he became a product manager overnight. So really excited. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We have a lot to talk about today. So just to give you an idea of a few of the different topics we're going to cover: value of customer service. Of course, being in this industry, working with SMBs, we know how important it is to provide the best customer experience to your customers. And we are super excited to show you how bringing AI and automation into that can really elevate that experience. We'll also talk a little bit about the phone ecosystem today. AI, which again, I think is just the hot topic in today's world, especially in the tech world. But we will dive into a little bit about the future of AI. This is where I think Pablo really likes to nerd out and, have a little bit more fun with the possibilities. And we'll then go into a demo of Sense Assist. For those of you that have seen it or haven't seen it, I think it will really blow you away. So diving right in, last but not least, excuse me, I'm Sivan, Director of Product Operations here at Sense. Super excited to be here. Please feel free to drop any questions in the chat and in the Q&A, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. But I would love to have some engagement with the audience here. So thank you all so much for being here. Value of customer service. Pablo, let's dive into this a little bit. What do you have to say about customer service?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give you some high-level points, and then Brian, would love for you to echo or disagree. And just in general, this is going to be hopefully a very conversational webinar. I think Brian's business, you do a really good job of thinking about these things a little outside of the box and push the boundaries. So this is meant to be thought-provoking, if anything. But the thing about customer service is that it's not new. Everyone has heard that term, but the definition of customer service changes regularly. So I've always seen customer service as one of the most valuable things that any business can offer and especially can invest in. But you look over the ages and the definition of customer service has changed. Initially customer service literally meant like just the relationship you have, like how you treat your customers. And the SMB world, where most of the business comes from referrals or relationships, businesses with good customer service generally tend to do better, but there's a limitation on growth, right? Then in the tech boom in the 2000s, late 2000s, you have products investing in customer service. And that would be giant public companies like Zendesk or companies like Dialpad or TalkDesk that are trying to give you a product for that. And then you see growth that's coming on the heels of that, where people are saying, okay, customer service for me means more emails out to customer lists and trying to present my brand in a friendly way, that such that people I don't know think they're going to get a good experience, right? In the hospitality world, you see hotels that have customer service at the highest level. You go into your hotel room, there's a bottle of champagne and $40 bar of chocolate on your pillow, and people think, wow, that's really good customer service, right? So there's different ways of interpreting that and managing it. And now in the era of tech, even pre-AI, even with most of the tools that Sense offers, customer service, when you productize that, right? What does that actually mean? Well, when you invest in a product, it usually means that you have an ROI attached to it. You're looking for a return on that investment in launching that product. And so when we think about customer service, that means giving you tools that will give you back bandwidth. That's things like automations that take tasks off your plate. They can have real outcomes, like we actually measure metrics around customer retention or LTV, lifetime value of those customers. You can use customer service tools to upsell modifiers and cross-sell other things that you're selling from your store and actually increase the monetary value of your customers. And of course, standardizing and professionalizing that, even for the smallest business, you can have this really outsized presence with good customer service. Right. And when I go to these events like the Wash Dry Fold conference and, in Nashville and Excellence, the biggest operators, the guys who are clipping in on 100 stores, they talk about customer service as if it was their sales team, and the employees are trained in customer service. So they've obviously figured something out. A lot of people, I think, have this feeling that they're the owner of the business. So they are the only keepers of the relationship. Right. So we ask ourselves, how do you build products that allow operators to sell customer service, to build customer service into their business, just like they do any other product that they're selling? So with that in mind, Brian, I'm gonna flip this to you. How do you personalize your business and your customer service specifically with technology or just in general?
Let's talk about in general, and you kind of see how technology plays into that. I like during your talk, you talked about brand, right? Because too many people think brand is your logo, right? And your colors. Honestly, your brand, especially in this day and age when so much stuff is virtual, your brand is, it's the place that you hold in a customer's mind. And that is driven by your customer experience. So like we look at customer experience first. And kind of easiest thing to do, the most scalable thing to do is just from the start. Like we invest in design, we invest in things that make it a friendly environment, and we keep it clean all the time. But like after that, it's about the experience people have. Even though like my business is insanely self-serve, like and I'm super happy for that. And we take the opportunistic stuff that comes in through the on-demand pickup and delivery. And it's amazing that for what you view as a self-serve business where people are coming in to do their laundry on their own, how much the value of the interaction with the person is. So like I said, I have one store. I have designs for many more, but we're just not there yet. So, but we, I came from Microsoft. What I realized like 2 months into this is mobilizing the 5 people on my team was the same as mobilizing 5,000 people around the globe to try and do one thing a certain way. Like you develop procedures and stuff like that, and you train them and you reinforce it. And I can't do all that stuff without technology, right? We do all our manuals and things are accessible from their phones and their iPads. From the start, we've used the point of sale system. We use it to track things that happen and don't happen in the store. There's things around just the card system, right? That's all technology based. And then where this product we're talking about today kind of turned the pivot, it ends up benefiting both customers and employees. And I honestly think more about how it benefits my team. Um, because now like the volume of phone calls that make it through to the store is just dropped so dramatically to answer these repetitive questions that they don't need to answer. And one of the things that was causing us to miss calls, and when it's beyond the basic call, there is usually like money on the line when that phone call is made. It's usually like, are you busy? How do I get there? Or what does it cost to do, pick, or hey, I want you to come, I want to do my laundry there. I want you guys to do my laundry for me. And so that stuff, if the phone wasn't on their hip, or if more importantly, if they were in front of the customer, like one of the non-negotiables we have is if you're with a customer, you're not going to break away to take a phone call, right? That will go to voicemail. We will go check the voicemail. That is totally fine. But I don't know, a surprising an amount of people never leave a voicemail, right? And so that ends up, for me, I look at it from the missed opportunity. But now my team doesn't have to worry about that, and they know when the phone rings in the store that it's something that they probably uniquely can handle. So if they are in front of a customer, their next thing, go check the voicemail, right, to see if it's there so that we can follow up on that.
Yeah,
I
thank
love
you for
that.
sharing, Brian.
One thing I want to just emphasize that, Brian, that you said is scalability, right? Because there's an inherent limitation in your scalability when it requires personal effort, especially in this case, a phone call. But on the other hand, we're talking about personalization. And no matter how amazing the chatbot is on your website or SMS or what have you, or even remote call center that's been around, that model's been around for a long time, you lose an element of personalization, which does actually matter. I'm sure everyone here has heard the saying, people think with their wallet, but they buy with their heart, right? And so there's a certain emotion, and probably that's attributed more to larger scale purchases than something routine like doing your laundry. But on the other hand, I would say that because laundry is a commodity and there's very few differentiators, when you compare it to like restaurants, for example, where people are seeking out flavor profiles, or obviously quality of service in laundry does go a long way, but laundry is laundry. At the end of the day, when people are making a decision between, if you have an unknown customer and someone who's calling up 2 different laundromats in a pinch, and one, they have a really shoddy experience on the phone, and the other is informative and it's professional and it's warm and welcoming, what do you think they're going to choose, right? So you have this value of personalization, especially with tools like Sense Assist, which we're going to unpack a little bit further. But you also have this scalability that was not there. It's been unlocked through the technological aspect, which was not possible in any format before, to have both those together. So I think you really hit on the key point there, Brian.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to be said about customer service. We've done webinars purely on customer service, on how to drive a positive customer service experience, how to incentivize employees, and so on. I encourage you to look through the archives if that is something you want to dive into. Again, today we're talking more so about the phone element and the personalization, which we're going to get into like the demo at the very end. But that being said, speaking of phones, let's dive into a little bit about the phone ecosystem today. The current solutions that are out there and what the state of it is. So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about how, you had set up your business line? Was it a Google Voice? Like, how had you set up your business line for phone calls previously?
Yeah, so we use our internet providers out here. It's Comcast, Xfinity, or whatever the name. And so it was just a number that was included along with the package. Like I said, I have one store. I kind of probably once a year, I at least dabbled in looking at, hey, what might be a better way to do this stuff? And it always came down to, hey, it's going to be something I do next in the future when I have two, when I have three. So, that's the way that I looked at it, because it was also, super, super generic. I was looking at it more as a phone call, phone answered thing. That was the problem I was trying to solve, was the missed call. Um, and so then what kicked me over the edge is, one, fun technology, new to try, right? But we all vote with our dollars if something's durable. And like, it was like taking on another employee. People worry about AI taking jobs. Like, it's hard to take jobs from a laundromat person, when you're there. But this, literally, you can look at it as a bot working alongside my employees, just because it prevents them from getting there. And it's just like, we all differentiate in different ways, but there's a lot of questions that people ask that are the same across all of us, right? And it's not worth the effort for me, to go out and build a bot on my own and keep it updated just to answer my questions. So being able to draft off you all, getting the questions from all the laundromat owners, and me benefiting from the ones that don't even get asked yet, like, that was kind of the kicker that said, okay, this is more than just a phone answering in one store. And the cool thing is, we've made the investment, so now when number two comes along, like, it just literally scales right out with me. Probably have to update addresses and stuff for those stores, but everything else, the stuff that people ask, all the same.
Absolutely. It's really cool that Comcast included that. I've heard a lot about people using like Google Voice, and especially just because they want to be able to answer every single phone call if they have non-English speaking attendants in the store, making sure that anybody who calls in is kind of able to communicate. Pablo, how has your experience been in doing kind of a little recon for the census project? What's your experience been in understanding the existing state of the phone system?
Well, this project was really interesting from a research perspective, because you had sort of the perfect mix of people who didn't know about it and didn't care, people who didn't know about it and really cared, and people who did know about it but couldn't find anything that was just right. And on top of that, there was actually a lot more momentum, and we always are curious about what people are talking in the Facebook groups, or just, we have maybe 20 or 30 operators who we constantly go to for feedback. And so everyone suddenly was talking about call centers, and for good reason, right? I mean, AI really wasn't even part of the conversation yet, but I think there was a moment where everyone realized that they were missing this in their business, and there was also so much gained potential, or rather potential to be gained. But what we saw out there was a pretty good mix of, DIY solutions like free Google Voice, or just something to mask your number from the internet, so your personal phone's not out there. There is generic tech, like companies like Grasshopper or AirCall are sort of, call center as a service, but and they're tech oriented, but they're not built for any particular industry. And you do have to have a certain knowledge of how to set that up. It's not just a plug and play for any business. And then there are legacy companies, receptionist companies that actually have teams of people, and you can pay them a monthly fee and they'll answer the phones for you. But their version of, understanding your business was having a PDF that you send them with FAQs, or they'll just actually go onto your website and read the FAQs off your website. However, the limitation with that is that if you want them to do things like place orders and actually engage with their customers, they would just send the call onto the manager, right? So it was really there was no real added value for what you were paying for that. Now, when we look at that, that's sort of the perfect environment for us to come in with a purpose-built product, not only solving all these problems simply because Sense is offering it and we know everything about your business, we have a direct relationship with you and your customers. There's so much more potential based on the integrations that we can build. But on top of that, we always like to show off a little bit, and we got excited about bringing actually a new technology that was better, faster, cheaper. So all that said and done, in general, we're always looking for those opportunities to bring something that's better, faster, and cheaper than the existing products out there. I think Sense Assist was a slam dunk in terms of providing amazing value for a cost that people were absolutely on board with, given the outsized value they're getting and solving a real need.
And Brian, in general, like thinking about the calls that you would want to handle yourself versus in store, are you, or how historically did you differentiate between those, if at all? Were things ever escalated to you as the owner who, is not necessarily in the store every day?
It was a rarity, and I'm in a super fortunate position that the vast majority of my team has been with me for at least 2, if not 3 of the 3.5 years I've been in business, right? So the number of stuff that filtered through to me past our store manager was super low, but my team knew, they can just, if someone wants to talk to me, they can call this number and, I'll call them back eventually. But we were set up from the start. My team is empowered. They know the answers. We have talking points and stuff like that. So they could answer the vast majority of stuff. And even when there was an escalation, that the manager would get to, it was often just the manager repeating what the person said to them before. So, for me, for me, it hasn't changed my life a ton, because we'd already kind of solved the escalation problem in a way, in part by just employee retention.
Which is
Now,
a blessing. Yeah. That very, I
yeah,
feel like rare in this industry.
yeah, but it's funny. It's talked about it before. It's this benefits me. I think it allows me to capture opportunities. It benefits my customers. But this is one more arrow in the quiver that I have for making my place a great place to work for the team. Getting interrupted by a phone call or answering the boring questions over and over again, it's subtle, but they're like, yeah, it's cool. I appreciate it. So yeah, I forget where we started, but that's where the answer ended.
It started with taking calls yourself and how often they're escalated to you.
One thing I want to add to that, though, is something that a lot of owners, including yourself, this was great early feedback, but whether or not the owner is taking the call, there is enormous benefit in the owner reviewing the calls. And this is something that we've seen across the board from all of our users, even especially the beta users. But now that this is open to the public, people will look at the call logs, which are housed within the Sense product. You have a short summary of the call, you have the full recording, you have a transcript, and we'll cover all this later in a demo. But much to my surprise, people actually take the time to listen to almost every single call, and they will email us and say, hey, enough people called about horse blankets that we actually want to offer that now. Can you update our services to say, yes, we do wash horse blankets, or things like that, right? Or they'll figure out that there was trouble in the parking lot and be able to better assist. So instead of taking the call, which, every time you get a call from a customer, sure, you want to pick it up, but it's okay, here we go. What are they going to call about? Now it's more analytical. Now it's more purpose driven with the intent of improving your business. And I think that was one of the not crazy that it's happening, but one of the unexpected surprises, the benefits of this product is that now owners can really have that 100% transparency into their phone calls.
I remember when we released a feature. So Brian, once again, was one of our early adopters of our advanced processing machine utilization. So you can assign machines for wash and fold orders. And from the moment we launched it took us about a year to launch a corresponding report to have visibility into it. And the moment we did, I was like, Brian's going to be so excited about this. I was on a webinar. He immediately looked at it and he's like, I have to talk to my staff, because it was like, I think it was like a 20-pound order going into a 60-pound washer. And it was like having that level of oversight within the app allowed him to, train for optimization. So, and like, just how things are being handled in general. So I really appreciate that. Well, let's move on to the topic of AI. This is the juicy stuff about AI in this industry. So like I said, Pablo, one of my favorite things about him is how much he nerds out on this. Like I will get Instagram DMs about like, just like cool tools that he comes across on Instagram and then implements it before my eyes. And so Pablo, tell us a little bit about how you think AI is going to impact this industry. Like where is it going?
So obviously a very exciting and topical question now. And, over the last couple of months, I've done my best to just try and understand where the puck is going here. I think everyone on this call is very familiar with ChatGPT and the sort of general use applications, but I think it's important to talk about this topic on this webinar, obviously as it relates to Sense Assist and the proven value we're seeing there. But my hope after this webinar is that people kind of get thinking about what else can be done in the very near future. I know we're certainly thinking about that. So I want to talk about right now, the two things that AI, as we know it, like you can use this today, is really, really good at. Okay, then there's a bunch of stuff that's cool and coming, but today, AI is really good at two things. Automation of tasks, sort of rote information, routine. And that's been around, machine learning and software can create automations, but in a different sense, it can automate really scalable processes and it can automate just really boring, predictable things. Okay. The second is that it's really good at cross-referencing enormous amounts of information and data and generating key insights. So everyone here has gone through their reports before, and you might want to know how much money you made that week or that month. And then you might get to thinking, well, who are my pickup and delivery customers? And who could I turn into a pickup and delivery customer? Or can I go find commercial customers or things like that, right? And so these things are very, very tangible today. And what we're trying to do is pull out those use cases and drop them into really easy products that you can use today, right? I think Sense Assist falls more into it's kind of a cross of both, right? It falls more into like automating, picking up the phone and talking to customers, answering basic FAQs. But Sense Assist is really cool because what it's basically proving is the difference between AI and traditional, we call it sort of linear software, right? I built this feature that executes this task. AI systems on the back end and what Sense Assist is doing on the back end is taking a huge amount of data, and that's your store's information, the FAQs, the services, hours, things like that. It's also taking a ton of data that we put in about laundry, right? So, it's a simple use case, but it knows lingo from the industry, or it knows how to address customers' concerns about specific functions within the laundromats. We'll show you a great example of that before. And most importantly, it's personalizing it, right? So the Assist product is really, I think, the perfect representation of the best use case for AI in the industry and frankly, across any industry right now. And so that really is voice, and everything I said is sort of baseline. I think that's true across any product implementation. But the reason that voice AI in particular is so hot right now, and you see across pretty much any industry, voice AI products are taking the lead, is because we're familiar with it. Okay. Everyone here has worked with a chat bot before. Everyone has interacted with some booking bot or something. But did you know that around 80 to 85% of people who call in to Sense Assist don't actually know it's a bot, right? And there's this incredible thing, a little scary, but this incredible thing happening where it's the same as a chat bot on your website, but it sounds like an attendant. It's got the humor, it's got the intonation, and it screws up every now and then, and you'll hear the customer say, "Wait a second, is that a bot?
Is this a robot?"
Hang on." But my favorite example of that, someone says, "Wait a second," it was like 2 minutes into the call. "Wait a second, is that a robot?" It says, "Yes, I'm a virtual assistant of Laundry Genius." And the person says, "Okay, well, thanks." As if it was an attendant, right? They don't know what else to say. If it was a chat bot, you just close the chat. But because it's a very personal medium, right? That, going back to what we talked about before, that is the superpower, is that you have the knowledge of the internet talking in the ear of your customer as if it really was a caring, thoughtful, professional attendant. So right now, to sum all this up, where the industry is right now is leveraging not just this sort of magic wand approach of AI can do anything, right? But Sense is really trying to put the power of AI into the best in specific use cases like Sense Assist. And where it's going is that we are really just getting more and more comfortable with letting AI do things for us. But very soon, and we're talking like in the next 12 months, AI will be able to actually perform functions that you never would have thought of before in your business. Not because it's crazy, but because you would never think that you wouldn't do that. And Brian, you talked about the Sense Assist as if it was an employee, right? Well, soon enough, AI is going to be helping with accounting and helping manage orders and helping find marketing insights. You might even let it do some sales for you if you want to go find some commercial business accounts nearby. And so really the notion there is, what are we comfortable letting the system do for us? And that is something that we're going to slowly work backwards from. But the answer is a lot, pretty soon. So Brian, what do you think?
Yes. And I'm just going to anchor on voice, right? Because take AI technology out of the equation is when stuff goes wrong or somebody wants to find something out and they can't get it any other way. What's the action that they take? I'm going to call someone, go and get in front of someone. I am going to use my words to try to get someone to answer my question, because whatever I'm typing into the computer or whatnot, it's just not getting it. And that's not my problem. It's that one. And so that's why, like I say, is when people call our store, there's usually a good reason. And it's a question that is easiestly answered via voice, right? A lot of them are in their car trying to come there. How busy is it? Will an 80-pound machine be available when I get there? Boy, I am certainly not going to type that while I'm driving, and I'm probably not going to count on a computer to tell me the answer, right? But then there's just and this happened last week, the week before. So in the Seattle area, when we get snow, the roads typically get icy, right? And so even if it's an inch of snow and we have all these hills and stuff, it's just trouble getting out. So, there's a decent chance that we're not going to get to the store on time to open it up. No lie, like you saw, I started seeing the calls come in. And so this is what me and my manager were like, okay, we got to update Apple, Google, website, Instagram, Facebook. Like, where else could we possibly update that we might be open a couple hours later than normal today? Like, literally all over the place. So then I called the store and I'm like, are you guys open today? And it told me the hours, and I'm like, and just as I'm typing the mail to Pablo, like, how can we? It's at the end. It says, but the weather. It says something like, but the weather is a little bit weird today. You should, we might not be open yet, or something like that. So whatever they did, tied it into the general weather report or something that gave someone a heads up. Now, was it perfect? I mean, no, right? Because still we left the question unanswered and they had to go to voicemail and stuff like that. But within moments, I was able to shoot Pablo an email, and I'm like, hey, we might be open a couple hours late today. How do we tackle this in the future? Or can we? Like, how do we think about that as an idea for where I can make hours adjustments on the fly? And so, one, it's an idea. Like, there's better ways than doing that. But within moments, they're like, what time do you think you'll be open? And like literally, we got Census switched to say, hey, they might not be until 11. And once I was done, we told them to turn it off, right? So like, but that's just long-winded story to the what someone wanted was that to use their voice to get an answer, right?
Yeah,
And they're gonna
100%.
call. They're gonna call.
So what you just highlighted is, I think, one of the core pillars here, right? And we talked earlier about, cross-referencing enormous amounts of data, specific and generalized data, right? So we are, and Census is the first example of this, but we're in the process of building the laundry industry's first AI engine, right? So what that means, as you pointed out, is a really cool use case of cross-referencing your specific data with generalized data, not just about the laundry industry, but weather, about, a great example is maps and locations, right? If you call any store and say, hey, how long will it take me to get there, right, from here? And I've seen that, I've heard calls of this happening. The AI will say, well, where are you located? And the person will say, I don't know, I'm by the downtown train station in Seattle. It knows exactly where that is, and it'll give a time estimate based on Google Maps data, right? So what it's able to do is actually make inferences. It's not just, here's data point 1, here's data point 2, that means answer 1 and answer 2. You go to reception, what's the receptionist, reception HQ, which is the call center, they're only able to read off of the PDF in front of them. Whereas a system like Census Assist is able to make inferences, right? We're gonna hear an example of a call later where the person asked about how much it would cost to do a couple bags of laundry, and the system knows the price per washer, knows the size of it, it knows the 2 bags, and it was able to actually give a completely accurate recommendation, right? So that's what we talk about when we say we're synthesizing data and giving a human experience. A human might have given a similar answer because they know that. Now your computer knows that too. So it's little moments like that that I think make this an exceptional experience. And I threw in a quote here, which you could read both ways, but this is an old saying in technologies: systemize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional. Now, traditionally, that means build software to automate really boring tasks, so you can pick up the phone yourself, or be with your customers or handle sales. I actually think this takes on a new meaning now, because I think Census Assist is providing an exceptional and humanized experience for something like customer service.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Super exciting to see what's happening here with AI in general. And I'm kind of inclined, before we get into the stats, I'm inclined to play some examples of this just because we're hot on the topic. Does that sound okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me go ahead and pull this up 1 second. So the first clip that we're going to talk about is the one that you were mentioning about the recording for the bag estimate. So I'm going to start playing. Pablo, if you can give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
Hey, how late are you guys open tonight?
We are open until 9 p.m. tonight, but please note that the last wash is at 7:30 p.m. Let me know if there's anything else I can assist you with.
How much does it cost to do laundry?
We have 4 sizes of washers, and prices start at $5 per cycle. If you're interested in our drop-off wash and fold service, it starts at $2 per pound. For items like comforters, we charge per item, with prices depending on the size and material. Let me know if you'd like more details or have other questions.
I've got 2 bags of laundry. If I wash it myself, how much do you think that'll cost?
The cost will depend on the size of the washers you use and how much laundry fits into each. If your 2 bags fit into one of our smaller washers, it could start at $5 per cycle. If you need larger washers, the price will increase. You might also need to factor in the cost of drying, which varies based on the time and heat settings. If you'd like, I can connect you to an attendant to help estimate more accurately based on your specific needs.
So I'm going to go ahead and pause it there because you get the gist of it. And it actually goes perfectly with the question that came in the Q&A, which Dimitri, thank you so much for posting the question. Can you ask a laundry specific question? For example, best way to remove red wine stain. And the best part about this is it is laundry specific. Yes. And it will pull that information from the general web. Pablo, you want to speak a little bit more to that?
I think you nailed it. I mean, that's a example of, we have a bunch of different databases that this whole model is running off of, one of which is just the common sense, not common sense, but, something you could look up through a common channel like Google or, the laundry blog of your choice. So it's pulling information from a vast sea of information, and we'll certainly be able to answer something like that.
Yep. And the second example that we wanted to show was about Spanish. So one of the biggest pieces of positive feedback that we've received from operators so far has been related to the Spanish phone calls that are coming in, because the AI voice has the ability to distinguish between Spanish and English, of course, and respond. This is AI after all. Everything is heard and responded to. And I'm going to show you what that looks like also on the SMS side when we get to the demo. Where I'll write a question in Korean and you guys will see what happens. Spoiler alert, it's pretty sick. So I'm going to go ahead and play the recording now for Spanish. One moment.
Like laundry and dry cleaning. We offer both self-service and full-service options. Our store is attended every day from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. for your convenience, and our self-service is open 24 hours. How can I assist you today? Hola. Bienvenido a Pine Lake Laundry and Dry Cleaning. Ofrecemos opciones de autoservicio y servicio completo. Nuestro horario con personal es de 8 de la mañana, 11 p.m. todos los días, y el autoservicio está disponible las 24 horas. ¿En qué puedo ayudarte?
Anyways, it heard Spanish. It responded in Spanish. It was a little bit hard to hear the person on the other end, but what it did pick up on was Spanish, and the AI automatically changed the intro greeting into Spanish. So super cool. Just talking about the future of AI, the redundancies that can be resolved. It's pretty incredible to see. And one of the questions that just came in from Dimitri, which was regarding the prior questions. Number one, is the store open? Or number two, is the 80-pound machine available? Can AI tie into the site monitoring operating software and quote unquote know which machines are available or doors are locked?
So the answer is yes, but, right? And the but is how we approach it. So theoretically, the AI is running off the same inputs that any of our system is. For example, we talk often about knowing which machines are available. That's something we're actually working on currently. That's because if you use any of our hardware products, Sense Connect or LaundryWorks, we know which machines are running, we know which ones are available, and that's a very easy data feed to pull into Sense Assist. As far as whether the door is locked, if there is some software that knows if it's locked or not, then theoretically, yes, right? But the question then is, how robust do we make this, right? Do we want Sense Assist to know everything about your store? My personal answer is, of course, absolutely. We'll let the customers decide what our next couple of features are, and so far everyone seems really excited about the AI assistant, the Copilot project that we have going underway. So I'm going to leave a little Easter egg there, but safe to say we have some pretty cool things coming down the road.
Yeah. Absolutely. So before we move on to the demo, one last thing, Sense Assistant numbers. We launched this almost exactly a month ago, 5 weeks if we're being real, right after the holidays. Pablo, tell us a little bit about what we've seen so far in the last 5 weeks.
So Sense Assist has been, I think, a fan favorite. It's had one of the highest adoption rates out of any product we've launched. And I think a lot of the things we talked about before, just about there being a real need, but also real value, in a much broader sense than just operating a business. It's been widely adopted and everyone seems to be loving it, which is great. By the numbers, we've had over 15,000 calls handled That's a remarkable number of calls. I'm going to cut to the end here. A remarkable amount of bots deflected. And if you get business calls, from Google or any of these guys trying to verify your business or whatever the latest scam is, I'm sure you appreciate this as much as I do. I wish I could have Sense Assist answering my personal phone. We'll get there soon enough, but a lot of bot deflections, which is great.
And Brian lit up at that one. Brian, do you want to share your experience there?
All right. So I'd forgotten about this because the call my team hates the most is from the people that want to offer financing, by the store, or say, basically, I can only talk to the owner, right? And they know, right? They get none of those calls anymore. And most of those calls don't even make it past Sense Assist to me anymore. So yeah, they're real people, but they might as well be an annoying bot.
Yeah. One anecdote I'm going to throw in there. So the bots can be good and bad, right? Everyone's gotten calls about various things, but one of the first calls that we listened in on, I could hardly believe it. In fact, I was showing another customer who will not be named. We were demoing the product, trying to convince them to try it out. And I said, let me just play you a recording of this call. And we played the recording, and the caller said, hey, this is Jim, the automated assistant from Google. We saw you updated your address, and we just want to make sure that your Google listing is correct so that we can, update our system, which actually is a good thing, right? That's a call you do want to get. And I thought it was very cool that Jim, the Google bot, was, making these calls on the owner's behalf. So I was like, oh shoot, I picked a terrible call. But then Sense Assist answered and said, oh, hey, Jim, as if it's bot friend from the hairdresser. Hey, Jim, yeah, that's definitely our address. Thanks for calling. And so the two bots are just talking to each other, and it updated the customer's Google listing for them, which I thought was hilarious.
AI is definitely not taking over the world. Don't worry.
Exactly. But anyway, 15,000 calls handled. That turns into real impact. We've saved operators and attendants over 200 hours to get back to their lives and their jobs. And importantly, something we actually haven't really touched on is the orders being placed, right? And so this is one of the key values of Sense Assist, but also let's think a little bit bigger here, systems like Sense Assist, AI-driven systems that will soon permeate the rest of your business manager and operations, is that we have hundreds of orders being placed that the operator didn't even know about. And it's not just that revenue is now being generated. And Brian, one of the first things you mentioned was a missed call could be missed revenue. But attendants are not usually sales trained. If someone's getting up from folding laundry to pick up the phone and take an order, they're rushing to get back to folding the laundry, or English might not be their first language, or they're just in a bad mood, whatever, it happens. We're taking orders, and the system is not only always professional and always in a good mood, but it's trained to upsell. So when you fill out your onboarding form, you can add things like, offer our premium bleach, or we sell laundry bags for $1 more, or lavender spritz, or what have you. So it's not only that the orders are being generated, they're coming in at a higher order value than they would have if it was just an attendant who may or may not have had time to place the order. So that's really an incredible byproduct of this. And well, I shouldn't say byproduct. That was a very key part of why we did this too, is that it's working for you, and it's certainly paying itself off.
Pablo, can you talk a little bit about the transfer to a live human for the orders placement, or rather the SMS situation for placing an order? At what point, because Dimitri asked over here, how are orders placed? Are they referred to a live person, or does the AI place the order into the POS automatically? No, that does not happen, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment.
So not yet, let's say, but right now, we're talking a lot about Sense Assist as just the AI. I think it's super important to mention that we actually do have a team of human agents as well. And not only is that an important differentiator for us, but I think it's an important experience for the customer as well. So right now, Sense Assist AI will handle 80% of the call volume by answering frequently asked questions, helping with directions, store hours, even issues that come up, right? But one of the remarkable things about this system is the ability to dynamically interpret a situation. So we have a whole logic tree of if this, then that, where any type of call that comes in will be handled appropriately. So for example, FAQ or bot deflection, the AI handles that. If there's something that's relevant to the store, something that's urgent, let's say, I left something there of value, or I need to speak to an attendant, or your van cut me off in traffic, we can route that to an attendant, the store, the owner. We can even route it to an employee and then fork within that based on the context. So it's very dynamic. And then when it comes to placing orders, anything order related gets routed to our team of agents. And what that means is that they're logged into the back end of the system. They can take the customer's information, place the order. They can look up existing orders, help people figure out where their orders are now, or make adjustments to that. And of course, all of this is available via SMS as well, right? And Sivan's going to show you what that side of the product looks like. But basically, we're saying, unless the customer really needs to speak to you, and you being the owner, and that could be for commercial business or something urgent and dire, we really don't want you to get that call because you don't have to. If you want to get it, of course you can as well. But we have think of it as the Brita filter of your phone system.
Love it. And this goes along one last question about the transfer, and then we're going to dive into the product demo because there's actually so much more to see about call logs and SMS and how all of this happens. But we have an attendee asking about the actual transfer process and whether the AI kind of prompts the attendant or preempts the attendant to share information about the transferred call, or whether the customer just has to ask the question from scratch. I believe it is the latter, but can you confirm what that experience is like?
Yeah, right now there's two forms of escalation: on call or SMS. On call, we just hand off the call. We do have the ability to do what's called a warm transfer, which means, it says, hey, hey, Sivan, I have Brian on the phone here. He's calling about his cat, which is stuck in the parking lot, something that would constitute a warm handoff. We don't do that right now because of the attendants would rather just have the phone ring. It's sort of a little bit of friction in the experience right now. And usually by the time it's getting to the attendant, the AI has diagnosed the problem and said, I don't need any more questions. I'm putting you in touch with the right person. With SMS escalations, it does send a recap paragraph via SMS and email to whoever is receiving the escalation. And believe it or not, these are processes we've beta tested or A/B tested. And ultimately what we're going for here is what works, but also how people want to receive this. So anything's possible, but for most people, this is really the way that they want.
Absolutely. So thank you, Brian and Pablo. We only have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to dive into the product demo. In Sense, you already heard about the voice assist AI functionality. So I'm going to show you two things in the Sense platform. First and foremost, we talked a lot about having oversight into recordings and being able to have the visibility into what is actually happening when customers call the store. So Brian, this is a sneak peek for you as well, because this is going to be live on Tuesday. We currently have this information in a report, but we have a new area here called the call center, where you'll be able to track all of the calls that came in via Sense Assist. So you can see over here, for example, it will have the customer's name if they are an active customer, or the phone number if they have not yet been added as a customer. And when you click in, you'll see this pop out on the right-hand side, which will show you as much information as possible. First and foremost, the summary. You'll be able to listen to an audio recording and see the transcript below. Same thing over here. Let's take a look over here. The call reason in this case was to ask about hours and location. It was 36 seconds. And you'll be able to play.
Thanks for calling Projects Well Wash.
I'm not sure if you guys can actually hear that. Because I don't think I shared. Yeah, I did. Okay, I shared audio. But you can listen to the recording over here and then see the transcript down below. So super cool to see and have that oversight into all the calls that are coming in. But similarly, SMS is something that we have available with Assist AI, which is one of the coolest parts, in my opinion, about this tool, because you have the ability to have your inbox Assist AI agent on or off, like for the entire inbox or on an individual customer basis. Now, what's really great about this is that you are not necessarily the operator who is behind the computer ready to answer every single question as it comes in real time. But speed is so important. Speed to response. We talked about the customer experience and how important it is to have that that immediate response to the customer. So what's really great about this is I can go ahead and see in this inbox that I have my Assist AI agent on. So that means that if a customer texts, they are going to respond. Now, I gave you a little bit of a sneak peek earlier about, different languages that are texting. Like I mentioned, for specifically for phone, we have Spanish and English supported. But when we're talking text message, this is AI after all. Let's show off what AI can do. Any language that comes in, it will respond to in that language. So I have a Google Translate. Do you offer pickup and delivery in Korean here? And you'll see that because Assist AI is on in the chat in just a moment, the Assist AI, no, it failed me on the demo. Of course it did. No, damn. Okay, sorry. It was going to respond in Korean. They're disappointed me on the demo. Ugh, I went in hot there with it, but it was able to read it. It was able to respond to it in real time anyways. I promise you this worked when I tested it in Russian and random other languages. So I'm not sure why it's not working right now, but it's been a really fun party trick that we've shown off from time to time. So,
well, that's a very human thing, by the way. If, you can't be perfect 100% of the time. That's actually built into the algorithm.
Exactly.
Make one
just
mistake
humanize
per
it.
100 times.
Exactly. But you'll see over here. Is there anything you'd like to know? Any way I can assist you? And that text message came in immediately, professional, responsive, and so on. Again, we're optimizing for the human experience here, knowing that if you as an operator want to jump in, we'll go ahead and tell AI, turn it off for a second. I'm in the chat and I could say, hi, Sivan, like, great to hear from you, and send that over. And what's going to happen is that the assist response is now going to be disabled simply because we know that you are now probably having a personal conversation with this customer. You can always turn it on at your leisure. So that being said, we are so excited about this tool. We are already seeing the impact that this is having on our operators, incredible operators like Brian, laundry genius. This has been one of the coolest things that we've done. And I am super excited that we had a chance to share it with you. Any questions before we wrap up? You're welcome to drop in the chat. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to us via email or anything like that. Pablo is too available, in my opinion.
I'm here.
Pablo is here always. So thank you so much, Brian, for joining us. Thank you, Pablo, for joining us today. And thank you, everybody who tuned in and spent your afternoon with us today. So take care, stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Yvonne. Good to see you, Brian.
Bye. See ya.